Every dynasty has a beginning, a golden age, and eventually an end. And for the Golden State Warriors, a team that literally defined a decade of basketball, that clock is ticking louder than it ever has before. So, what we're talking about today isn't just some trade. No, this is the story of one last all or nothing roll of the dice.
And that cold, hard reality, it hit the Bay Area like a ton of bricks in February of 2026. See, for 5 long years, we heard them preach patience. We heard all about the dual timeline, this super ambitious plan to win championships now, while also grooming young talent for the future. Well, the Warriors front office just made a decision that was as ruthless as it was, frankly, necessary. They officially, finally, chose the present.
And believe me, the cost of making that choice was steep. That whole dream of winning now and winning later, it died the second Jonathan Kuminga, a player just bursting with raw, explosive potential, boarded a flight to Atlanta. For the fans who watched him grow, this wasn't just a trade. It was the end of an era of hope, an era of what-ifs. So let's break down what they actually sacrificed here. They gave up Kuminga's just unstoppable power driving to the rim. They gave up the hustle and the surprisingly high basketball IQ of Brandon Podziemski. Basically, they traded the promise of a bright tomorrow for a very, very risky chance to win today with Kristaps Porzingis. It was a crystal clear swap, pure athletic potential for an immediate, desperate tactical need. And that tactical need? It came in the form of a 7'2" Latvian they call the Unicorn. Kristaps Porzingis shows up in Golden State carrying two things: a reputation as one of the deadliest three-point shooting big men alive, and a medical file that's probably as long as his wingspan. To a lot of people, this looked like an absolute suicide mission. But look, to understand why they would take such a massive risk, you first have to understand their single biggest problem. For years, opposing defenses had totally cracked the code. They would just completely ignore Draymond Green out on the perimeter, right, treating him like he was no threat at all. And what that did was clog up every driving lane, it neutralized his legendary playmaking, and it just slowly, painfully choked the life out of the Warriors' offense. Okay, but now watch how this completely flips the script. First, Porzingis and his deadly three-point shot lure the other team's big man, their rim protector, all the way out to the perimeter. Step 2, with the paint suddenly wide open, Draymond now has a freeway to make that cut to the basket he hasn't been able to make for years. And third, the defense has absolutely no choice but to collapse on him, which leads to either an easy layup for Draymond or a kickout pass for a wide-open three. It's so simple, but it's completely revolutionary for them. The impact here wasn't just a small change, it was seismic. I love this quote on the slide. Porzingis' presence dug a Pacific Ocean into the team's tactical board. His gravity as a shooter, the threat he poses from deep, it created this massive ocean of space on a court that used to be totally congested. And just like that, for the first time in years, Draymond Green wasn't a liability on offense anymore. He was a weapon again. But, and this is a huge but, with that immense tactical reward comes an equally immense, potentially fatal risk. The entire gamble, this whole beautiful new offensive theory, it all rests on the health of a player who is famous for his fragility. 18. In his very first game as a Warrior, Kristaps Porzingis played just 18 minutes. And let me be clear, that wasn't a coaching decision. It wasn't about easing him in. That was a non-negotiable, hard and fast limit set by the medical team. Every single minute he is on that court is a minute where the entire organization is just holding its breath. And the concerns are serious. We're talking about chronic Achilles tendon issues or rare blood circulation syndrome. I mean, the list goes on. And defensively, he is now their last line of defense. He is the fragile final tower protecting the rim. If you think of Draymond as the brain of the defense, Porzingis is the backbone. And if that backbone snaps, the entire structure just collapses. It's that simple. So you have to be asking, why? Why take such a terrifying risk? Well, the motivation behind this entire high-wire act, it all comes back to one guy, Stephen Curry. This massive, franchise-altering move was made for one reason, and one reason only, to maximize whatever is left of his prime and go chase one more championship. And what this means is that the Warriors team we all knew, they're gone. They've traded in that iconic, free-flowing, beautiful game for a much colder, more pragmatic style. It's not about that constant, beautiful motion anymore. Now it's about something called height suppression, just using their new size to physically overwhelm opponents and win ugly. It's a calculated, brutal tactic that they hope can finally deliver another title. So what the Warriors have really done is officially declared their 2-year window. They have sold off every asset tied to the future. They have pushed all their chips into the middle of the table for one last ride with this aging core. There is no plan B, there's no safety net. It is championship or it is bust.
And so, after all of that, it all comes down to this. The tactical genius, the terrifying injury risks, the sacrificed future, all of it now rests squarely on the shoulders of one man. We all know Stephen Curry can carry a team on the court, but the real question is, can he carry the crushing psychological weight of a dynasty's final desperate breath? History is waiting for the answer.